Hello everyone and welcome to a very interesting round tonight. Now, we've had a lot of ups and downs this season, and the United Kingdom Armed Forces ACC Championship has been something that has been a brilliant event to watch and to broadcast over, but tonight we come to the final round. And joining me in said final round is Nathan Richards. It's good to have you back, buddy. Missed you for a couple of rounds. How are you feeling heading into, of course, one of the most treacherous tracks of the season?
I'm excited because with the fact the championship's already wrapped up, there's nothing to fight for. We're at Bathurst, when you've got nothing to lose, things get interesting. So I can't wait to see what happens tonight at Bathurst, of course. We've seen this season, drivers have struggled at a lot of our so-called easier tracks, but tonight it's a different beast, a track that nobody is very good at, and if you are good at it, you're a legend. Simple as that.
I think that sums it up best. It is a brutal circuit. Of course, Mount Panorama, Bathurst, also as it's known, is a legendary circuit for both good and bad reasons, depending on who you are and depending on your level of confidence and skill on the track. Of course, you have got that massive run up the hill. You go through all, say, the different parks, snaking your way up before then you go through Skyline, the S's, that really sort of difficult section. But this track is known for two things. It's known for producing some really close wheel-to-wheel racing, and it's really known for testing the mettle and the courage of drivers. And tonight, I think, is going to be no exception.
I mean, definitely. I think that middle sector turns, I think it's 11 through to 17, the dipper. It's an interesting corner. Not an easy one to get right. Very easy to mess up. But also, if you can master it, you put yourself in such a strong position heading into the race and heading through the race, because some drivers might lose a whole second in just that section of corners, which sometimes is what you'd lose over a lap. So if you can get the dipper, the S is correct, you're in such a strong position for the race. But also it's about consistency, because as you can see on our track map, there's many corners. Some of them are rather simple. The first couple of corners are, normal, generous corners, not easy to get wrong. The rest of it's pretty much straights after that middle sector. So there's a lot of time to be gained, but a lot to be lost.
Yeah, and of course you have got those sort of last pieces of the circuit. You have got the Conrod Straight. As you come out of those final sort of corners, we are going to jump trackside now, though. We're going to waste zero time left. We are going to be heading on board with Jack Simpson. Now, Simpson has been that sort of late stage rocket. He really found his momentum, and with 3 wins on the trot, he's currently set to be the driver to take P3 in the championship. Let's see if he keeps that pace up to top trim here, as he's just finishing his outlap and he's about to get things started.
Certainly, and he's driving the Lamborghini, which isn't the most popular car. It's nowhere near like the car in the Meta, so I think he's done a great job in that car to take it places it shouldn't really be in at all, as we just follow Jack through that first corner at Hell Corner, then of course up the mountain straight in towards turn number 2 at Griffin's Bend. Of course, here is a hot spot for overtaking. Such a long run up to this next corner where you can get a car up the inside or even brave it around the outside if you've got the run. And of course, late on the brakes, around that 50-meter board, you get the car turned in, hit the apex on the inside, and you can start to run out a bit wide as you head in towards the cutting at turn 3 and 4. Of course, yet again, another uphill section. Get right tight to the wall, brake nice and late yet again. Get really tight to the barriers. And then next, you've got another right-hander at turn 5. Bring the car all the way around and then get prepared for which is turn 6, 7, 8, and 9, which is corners that you should take flat. But you don't want to, because you're close to the walls at every single moment. And then, Sappy, we head into the dreaded downhill chicane.
Yeah, so we have that downhill chicane here right now, and we have got him flying through his Skyline. S's is making his way through soon to the Dipper and Forest Elbow. You've really got to snake the car. Let gravity take you, as it were. It is deceptively sharp and deceptively deep in terms of inclines, so you really do, after a certain point, just steer the car and hope that gravity cooperates. But there you go, nicely handled. through by the Lamborghini. Now coming out through the Conrad Straight, he's easily going to pass 260, even go into potentially 280, 290 kilometers an hour before jumping heavy on the brakes all the way down into second gear, sometimes first if they go a little bit too deep, but nicely handled again from Simpson through the chase, now into Murray's corner to finish the lap off. And once he goes through, we will have our benchmark to see who is going to be on top and what kind of times we can expect from the field. Simpson to the line, it's a 2:01. Who is going to be able to follow up? Here's Liam Davis coming through to the same corner. We'll see if he's able to handle it as cleanly. We have seen a few cars in the background, but Simpson was particularly strong out the jump. Here's Lee Wrenchy, aka David Wrench, not being out on the track right now. I think he fumbled his initial lap. Here comes Matt Steele. He's going to be behind, I believe that is Dingo in the McLaren right there. So actually swooping through, I think that is a couple more cars now coming through. Powsland not getting a valid lap. Wrench back onto the circuit, and last couple of opportunities have been taken well advantage of by a few different drivers in particular. That was Stevie Mack, my mistake there earlier. Dingo is now coming, however, to the start-finish line. What's he going to be able to get? Let's see.
Let's see what he can do. Just outside that top 10 at the moment, should easily make his way up into that top 10. Dingo, a very competitive driver here in this series. P6, a 2:05.540 for the McLaren, as we do see there. I think Glyn Berry up to P3, I believe, still in the Mercedes. Decent lap from him, but still over 2 seconds away from that pole position spot, who is currently held by Jack Simpson, and then behind him, Liam Davis, only 2/10 back, which in a grid like this and around a track like this is superbly close. As we do see George Biel as well up into that top 6. We have Brown as well up into the top 10, considerably off the pace. But that must not be a representative lap from Brown. And then we've still got a couple of our big hitters to cross the line, such as Tyrone, David Wrench, and also Bailey Vernon Higgs. And this is a big night for Vernon Higgs here, because he's never taken a win. He's taken 7 second places and a third, which is pretty much every race he's been on the podium. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah, I think that is a pretty apt description, isn't it? Oh, Simpson's just gone even faster. A little bit of loss in Sector 1, but Sectors 2 and 3 are his for the taking, and he's going to push that envelope even closer to the sacred 159. I wonder if anyone is going to be able to actually clear that gap, clear that barrier. I have a couple more cars now. Here's David Wrench actually on... I'm not sure if that is on a run or on an out lap right here. It's the telemetry doesn't always give us the info on the back end. Regardless, he rounds his way through Murray's corner, and coming up to the line, it's going to be getting things nice and started off here. So this is David Wrench, 6 wins, 2 third places, 5 fastest laps, and overall the champion of the season, purely because Vernon Higgs wasn't driving in round 11, so it's now mathematically impossible for him to catch up.
Indeed. Brilliant season so far, and just on a whole for David Wrench. I mean, going into it, it was him and Tyrone, wasn't it, in those first couple of races, and then he started to edge away race after race, and then, of course, took the championship off track. Brilliant job by David Wrench this season. I'm sure if we have another season, he'll be back near the front once again, as he has a big slide heading through in towards Quarry Corner, so that's going to cost him a little bit of time. But considering how big the gaps are, I mean, P1 to P3 is over 3 seconds needed, so either way, he should be able to slot himself up into that top end of the order. It's Bailey Vernon Higgs, 4 seconds off the pace, and now that is something we don't see very often, and that just shows how difficult this circuit is to get right. As Matt Steele, I think, there, jumping up into P6, and here is Craig Lua, currently on a 2:07.625, but runs a bit deep out of Hell Corner at turn number 1, which I don't know if you've ever driven the track before, Sappy, or you've ever seen some of our esports drivers take it, but that first corner is one of the most difficult corners on the track because it just comes at you instantly, and that curb on the exit is a killer.
Yeah, you do have to be careful. It's deceptively sharp, isn't it? It's actually slightly more than 90 degrees, and you think that it's... You think you can take a lot more speed into it, but then all of a sudden you're past the apex and you've still got about 100 Ks and you're wondering what you're doing, where you're going. Yep. So Yeah, as I have had the fortune slash misfortune of driving this track a fair bit, and I can tell you, it's that, and as we discussed, the S's section, which are silent killers of any good laps.
Yes, certainly. I think that's probably the middle section where people are losing time because it is so hard to get right. As we see Bailey Vernon Higgs heading through that section at the moment in his McLaren, and now just making his way through Forest's elbow and down the Conrad Straight in towards the final couple of corners. As Liam Davis there, only 4/10 off the back of Jack Simpson and David Drench just up into that top three, with Tyrone around half a second back in P4. And let's see what Vernon Higgs can do here. Heading into the chase, of course, the very slow speed chicane, considering you're going from around 280 to around 120 through that section. Then one more right-hander to go as you prepare yourself for the final corner on this circuit down at Murray's Corner. Let's see what the McLaren can do. An onboard shots into the final turn. Of course, get the car straightened up nicely. Back onto the power, up to the line. Goes P5 at 202.9. But either way, Bailey Vernon Higgs should not be nearly 3 seconds off. This is such a surprise. I mean, I expected the gaps to be higher, but not this much.
Yeah, so the big thing here is we still got 15 minutes though, so keep that in mind. There may certainly be a case to be made for drivers trying to get their bearings, push the envelope a bit too much maybe, but then start to dial things back and reach a comfortable medium. Take Tyrone, for example, 202.4. Yes, still 2 seconds off of Jack Simpson's time, but we know him to be a driver who loves to find his limits and then just chip away at it time and time and time again. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him creep him into the 0.1s or the 0.0s by the time the session comes to a close. Davis is one that has certainly impressed me. He's just got even faster with a 0.595, so that leads me to believe that he's found the confidence. This is his combo right here. That Ferrari, we know it to be a decently pliant car. You can throw it to an extent, and it knows how to take it. The only exception being the curbs. It does not like getting unsettled on the bottom end. But you can throw it and give it a good amount of angle. And Vernon Higgs. He was looking shaky on the S's, but I was wondering if there was going to be the catastrophic spin. Sadly, that has come to pass.
I mean, I think Vernon Higgs just doesn't have a good setup. I mean, the McLaren, I've driven it the most out of all cars I've driven on ACC, and it's always planted. I mean, Spa, it's brilliant to drive. You have no touches of the rear up through Eau Rouge and Radian and through in towards Pouan, and the same goes for many other tracks such as Carlami. Brilliant car to drive there. And even here, you know, it's proven it's one of the best cars, but Bailey Vernon Higgs just looks like he's got no grip on the rears. He's oversteering a lot. Then that turns into understeer. I just don't think the setup's there for him this evening. Of course, they have the standard ACC ones, but also they can have their own, which they either make or they, you know, can purchase off some of the setup websites. So maybe Vernon Higgs is in need of a setup, and possibly could be a little bit near the sharp end of the field. And here is Tyrone in the Bentley, a car which I did not expect to see up in the top four, considering it is like driving a bathtub or a boat around this circuit. Up to the line, where will it be for Tyrone? Stays third, so might either be, well, he must have either made a mistake or looking to go again. Guys, give us your predictions in the chat of who you think will win. I mean, I think at the moment it's between two, isn't it, Ben? But anything can happen in the race.
Anything can happen indeed. I know SRC supports us, so wink, wink, nudge, nudge, in terms of setups on that front. And, well, with that in mind as well, it is, of course, about finding the balance of your car. And some cars just aren't good with certain sort of configurations, certain tracks. I know for a fact... Oh, ow! Mighty tank slapper as we come out for Tyrone there, but he did get his lap improved, so I think he's okay with that. It was relatively early on. But yeah, so certain cars really don't take to Bathurst that well. You take, let's say, the BMW. Now, I'm not saying the BMW struggles with Bathurst at all, because I haven't driven this car. I don't know it well enough. But you could very well say that the BMW, with its suspension geometry and all of the other sort of aero package bits, doesn't gel with Bathurst, but could do absolutely swimmingly in somewhere like Catalonia. Sometimes it is just the difference in the car.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something that's great about the likes of ACC, iRace and Assetto Corsa, because they have all these different configurations of GT3s. They all react differently at different tracks. And I mean, we've seen tracks where the Bentley's been terrible. Tyrone's had some poor, outings around some circuits, but then, like here, it seems to work quite well. So it all depends, and that's why you've got to kind of go for the car which either you prefer to drive the most if you are not on top pace, because comfortability is a lot better than pace on some occasions, or the outright quickest car. But also, if you are one of those top drivers, you've then got to start looking at the car which performs the best at most tracks. If you've got a track where the Ferrari performs well at 2 tracks, but and worse at 10, compared to the McLaren that might work well at all of them, you'd pick McLaren, even if you prefer the Ferrari. It all depends on your skill level and how comfortable you are driving the car. So it's a big choice. When you head into a season and you commit to one car, it's not as easy as just saying, oh, I'm going to drive that, because there's so many different factors that you have to put into it, because sometimes it can decide between you winning and not winning a championship.
Yeah, your driving style, your setup, the inherent characteristics of the car itself all plays in. It's why you see certain cars like the McLaren being so popular, like the Ferrari, but then it's why you also don't really see cars like the Porsche. That's one that we haven't really seen all that much. I know that Gibbs drove it, but we haven't seen him in a couple of rounds, and that Porsche, it can be very hard to drive if you set it up wrong. It's very much a car that likes to balance on a knife edge. You can get a bit of slip angle, you know how to dial it, you can get some amazing exit speeds. Like, power on the throttle coming out the corner, beautiful. But if you set that car up wrong, it will skate that rear axle like it's on ice. And it's the point of no return as well. That car very quickly can go past that point of no return and put you in a spin.
Yeah, definitely. The likes of the the Mercedes and the Porsche, they're difficult to drive, but they're one of those cars that if you are like OP at driving it, you are one of the best drivers on the game, because it is just such a good car when you have the setup right and if you can drive it. But if you're not very good at it, things start to head downhill, because it's such a difficult car to get right. Mercedes, is a prime example for me. It's a car I like, mainly because of the engine sound and the way it looks. I've driven it a lot on ACC, but I'm not very quick in it. I'm a lot quicker than the McLaren and the BMW, because this thing, it's got so much oversteer, and you could see there from Glenberry up through towards turn 4, the rear just slips out, and on this game, it's very difficult to catch the rear. In games such as our racing, it's a little bit easier, but on this game, once the car's gone, it's gone and there's no saving it. And that's why around a track like this, I think Glenberry is rather brave, because you can see there, oversteer instantly, and you've got to be quick to, to react to stop it from going the full way around.
Yeah, well, it's even like noticed down through here how he's setting an angle and he's not actually getting on the throttle. He's actually having to use the brake to keep the car under control. Now, that's part of the circuit, but at the same time, it sort of speaks to how the Mercedes, it's a handful, to put it mildly. Like, he had to actually back off there. He did lose quite a lot of time. He lost about a second throughout all of this. So Glenn is very much trying to find the limit, and he is pushing that limit. Fury is a driver that we know to have immense pace, but through no fault of his own, he's just been plagued by technical issues this season, and I will repeat what I said in rounds prior. I think if he had a perfect technical state, like if everything worked as he needed it to, there's no reason why we wouldn't see him even further than 5th in the championship.
Yeah, definitely. I think so many things counter in here, and I think going into next season, if there is one, which I hope there will be, is that Stevie Mack hitting the barriers. If we do have another season, I reckon we'll see a few car changes, and drivers that have looked at this season and thought, well, actually, the McLaren's being good, or the Ferrari's being good. They might, choose to go for something different next time to kind of, meet that standard and be a little bit further up the field, as here we do see Jack Simpson in the Lamborghini, who's done such a brilliant job this season, in a car that's not that popular, a car that's not that quick generally. So I think Jack Simpson has really done well, and at the moment he's looking to try and take a pole position here this evening. I don't know if he's taken one before here, has he, Sappy? You've got all the number, you can number crunch if he's taken a pole or not, but I don't think he has.
I will say he's got he's got a lot of poles, he's got a lot of wins now under his belt, and really has taken on a quick streak. Now, it's curious you mentioned about next season. While we don't know about the future of the ACC side of things, I do know that there is plans for a F1 season to come. Now, not going to speak too much on that. Details pending, details to be confirmed, but I know that that's something that a few people are looking forward to as well. So whether that is us or whether that is someone else, to say RAF Esports is still going to have plenty going on, so you want to keep your eyes here regardless of how it plays out. We're going to see Lua actually, curiously, deciding to go for a bit of a race before the race has begun. He's got someone tailing him, he's got a friend in the rear view, and that is Liam Davis.
Indeed, who are both. Well, Liam Davis has done a brilliant job, hasn't he, so far in the qualifying session. I don't think he's been anywhere near a top 5, never mind P2, so just following through there, looking to try and make a pass here on the car ahead as they head towards the Forest's elbow. Final couple of corners on this circuit. Ooh, and a bit of a tap on the barrier, nearly a bit wide and all.
Ooh, that was a tap on the barrier. You saw the shockwave.
Doing the same thing. Yeah, that was a big tap there. And in the race, that is not what you want to be doing.
You see, I think that's Powsland, I want to say, going slow down there. And actually, no, that is Vernon Higgs, my mistake. But yeah, the both of them going through, the both of them pushing, and curiously, oh, points for style. Liam Davis, he's testing just how far he can catch it, what the slip angle is really like on this circuit. But looks like he's just trying to get a bit of space, and ooh, that got scary fast.
Oh,
so Wrench was on a lap, went to go around, but Davis had the same thought and tried to go where Wrench was dodging to. Now, this is where we need to explain something. If you are running slow, if you are going to get passed by a faster car, stay on your line. Stay on your line. It is the responsibility of the passing car to get around you, and to get around you safely. So, what we saw there was a breakdown of communication. Davis wanted to get out of Wrench's way. He saw he was going fast, but Wrench is the one with the responsibility, it's at least in the race, to get round. Now, qualifying is a bit of an odd one, because you typically yield for someone who's going fast. You yield for someone who's on a hot lap. So it can easily happen, but we're saying for the race specifically, that is how you do it. Now, it's a purely a quali incident in this case, but that's sometimes an unwritten rule that can be forgotten.
Indeed. It happens, doesn't it, though? It sometimes does. And
oh, yeah, it's purely no fault of anyone's what just happened there. It's quali. So both of them had the same thought to get out of each other's way, and quali makes it a little different. So, yeah, no shade on either. Just in the race, that's how you have to handle things.
Yeah, oh yeah, certainly. I think in the race it becomes a lot more critical, doesn't it? I mean, it can be a race ended in qualifying, you spin out or make you cause you to make a mistake, you just go back in the pits and go again. But obviously in the race, that is not what you want. You don't want damage. You don't want to have to go into the pits and do an extra pit stop. You need to make sure you can just go with your race, do what you need to do without running into contact. I'm sure with that today, turn 1, no, sorry, not turn 1. I was saying more turn 3, 4, and 5, and then that middle sector. I think we're going to see a lot of people make mistakes on that opening lap, so I think the best thing to do is just be a bit wary. If there's drivers, obviously there's drivers on this side which are a little bit less experienced, sort of not as quick, so if I was, one of these near the back, I'd just give everyone a bit more space. Let them make their way through the opening sector or the opening lap and just get a feel for the car. Because if you don't, and they end up spinning, you're going to go straight into them and ruin your own race as well.
Yeah, it's got to exercise that caution, particularly the first 2 laps. Not even 1 lap. Around Bathurst, you need those 2 laps, trust me. It's going to get hectic out there, and even if you're not caught in the initial wave, and oof, Lemon, yikes, that was a good lap as well, and he just took way too much heat. The road literally just gave way underneath him. You saw it right there. He tried to steer, and it just was not happening, so taking it a bit too hot. But in the race, 2 laps. You've got to take that time to find your position, and then you can start pushing once things are settled.
Yep, certainly. You've got to give it a bit of time. Get into the race and then push. As here we do see Glenberry in P4 at the moment, around 9/10 off third. A couple of tenths ahead of P5, where I think with the fact that Tyrone and Vernon Higgs are in the pit lane, Glenberry should be safe with at least a P4 here. But of course, we'll be looking to go again and try and get ever closer to David Wrench, Davis and Simpson, as behind him is also a McLaren pushing their way through on a lap. As We are making our way down in towards turns 15, into the dipper, through towards Forest's elbow, and then of course then the Conrod straight in towards the chase, and then the final corner at Murray Corner. So he runs a bit wide, and that is not going to help Glimberry on this lap. Also dips a wheel into the grass, and this is allowing a car to get past him. So if he was up on his time, he's now got a car battling him down towards a chicane. This might end a bit messy here.
Well, Wrench is certainly giving him a run for his money and saying, right, you want that quali lap so bad, come and take it. So
Oh, he's got through. No worries.
there you go. Well, now, anyway, say Glyn is quite a significant chunk down on his delta. So
Yeah.
I think Wrench as well is teetering on that edge. I think both of them are sort of, the mental game is a little bit wary there, just because, of course, you had Fury taking a bit of a hit, and then Wrench was spooked earlier by Davis. He doesn't get an improvement this lap, slightly down, I think in part due to the squabbling and fighting that we saw moments ago. But here comes the one and only, here comes Bomber Brown, making his way down Conrod Straight.
The question is, what Bomber Brown can have a bit of backstory?
Oh, that's just his handle. He does content as well, and thought I'd give a little shout because I know he's also on Twitch at the same time as well. So if you ever watch it in post, or if you want to see a direct racer POV, I know that he's doing this. But there you go. Quali is officially over, ladies and gentlemen. The checkered flag has fallen, so its final laps confirmed. Brown gets into P14, solid improvement. And it's just a few cars that remain. Wrenchy is going to be going for one more shot, but here comes Craig Fitton down the straight.
Well, now you mentioned that he's live on Twitch, I just went over and gave him a follow. So guys, please head over to Bomber Brain's channel, Bomber Brain _ on Twitch. Give him a nice little follow. Be great to see David get some more support. We can see him there. Obviously P14, not the worst, but not the best, that's for sure. For David Brown, as here's Craig Fitton in P13 at the moment. He's, I think, down in all sectors. We'll have to see what he can do into that final corner, Murray Corner, turn 22. Heading up to the line, what will it be here for Craig Fitton? Stays P13 here, and then David Wrench, who's on track, I presume will also stay in P3, but there we go. Jack Simpson on pole in the Lamborghini, ahead of Liam Davis, who I've seen multiple times this season, but I've never seen him that high up the grid.
Yeah, Davis certainly proving to be quite a quick runner here as we get the session to a close. Last driver coming through, it is David Wrench. Is he going to be able to get into the 2 minutes instead of the 2:01s? Comes around the final corner, looking quick. It's so close, but it's not quite there. It's a .005, and just like that, the session draws to a close. Now, this is where things get spicy, folks, because it's time to go racing and have some real fun. Now, let's take a bit of a grid walk through. In the lead and coming off of another pole is going to be Jack Simpson in the 29 Lamborghini, closely followed by Liam Davis in his currently half suspended in the air / wheeling number 42 Ferrari. Row 2 is going to go to our reigning champion, David Wrench. He's going to have a bit of a victory lap this run, but how successful will said victory lap be? Bury is going to line up alongside him in 4th. Let's hope he has a clean slate in terms of the machine and the VR. Hopefully it treats him right this time, because, of course, he's never had any luck with it in the past. Tyrone is going to be in 5th on row 3 alongside championship contender as well, Bailey Vernon Higgs, 5th and 6th. Two of them both very fast drivers in their own right, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see them in the sharp end fighting for podiums here. Steele is going to go into 7th in the number 16 Ferrari, and that is going to be a very beautiful livery indeed. The Domino's livery is coming out in absence of the Colonel Cruiser. We unfortunately don't have the Colonel Cruiser today, but you know what? I'll take this as well. It looks sharp, it looks beautiful, and I'd love it. I dig it. I literally had pizza the other night as well. And Lemon is going to be in that classic black and yellow in row 4. Closing out your top 10, it's going to be George BL in that Beamer, and then it's going to be the number 72 Royal Navy car of Peter Davidson. Final 7, it's going to be Dingo, fan favourite, crowd favourite in 11th, number 938 McLaren, very sharp British Army Esports livery there, alongside George Powsland to complete row 6. Then it's Craig Fitton in the number 77, Bomber Brown in the number 4, and closing our order off is Craig Lure in the 13, Stevie Mack in the number 19, also British Army Esports, and then Luke Clayland to wrap things up. Gotta say, I really do like the colour combo here as well. But let's jump to the helicopter as things are about to get started. You know the rules. 60-minute race, 50-minute pit window. Things are going to come to an explosive finale. Maybe not for championship, but certainly for these drivers. They close the championship off in style as a great exit from Simpson is going to leave Davis in the dust, already squabbling with Wrench. As we don't have a formation lap this time, we do just get straight into the racing.
Indeed, a great start there from Simpson in the Lamborghini. And here we have Tyrone under pressure here from Bailey, Vernon, Higgs as they all head up towards turn number 2. And let's see what happens here. A few cars going 2 wide, nearly 3 wide further back though, as we all make our way through the first couple of corners unscathed. But here is where things start to get tricky and where drivers have to be careful on the opening lap not to cause mistakes and get themselves into incidents as we all make our way up the hill in towards turns 4 and 5. And that gap at the front now sits at 3/10 between Simpson and Davis. David Wrench started to drop back a bit already, and Glimberry already a second back in P4 under pressure from Tyrone and Bailey, Vernon, Higgs as we head in towards the dipper very shortly into the S's. Let's see what happens here as someone's gone completely off the circuit there. I think it was Glimberry.
Oh no, not again for Bury. Not Bury, no. We've seen this time and time again. The situation just continues to be dire. Now, hopefully he can recover, but man, if he has been dealt a bad hand this season thus far. We're going to see a couple more issues, though, as that is going to be Lure and Fitton, both getting marooned in the S's and completely stuck, having to jump all the way to the back of the field, even getting passed by Bury as he made his way through to P15. So this is what we were saying about early days here at Bathurst. You've got to be careful, you've got to be on your toes, and do not be afraid to gap himself out. Ooh, it's going to be Lemon following a bit too closely to Steele's lead as both of them re-emerge on the track and into the path of... Ooh, that could get nasty. As that is Dingo actually going along the side, getting a double overtake, barely keeping it on the track, but keeping well within control. Dingo, what a move there, recovering from what could have otherwise been a nasty incident.
Insane move there, as we do see Mack and Pelson going side by side into turn 1, but I think for now Stevie Mack's got that move covered, as we do see somebody in the pits. I think that's Craig Fitton and Glimberry. Not a good race for those two so far, but you never know what can happen over the next 57 minutes in this race. Of course, a 1 hour race around Mount Panorama. And then up the front, the battles are starting to edge out already. We can see Simpson and Davis were separated by half a second, and then Ranch, Tyrone and Vernon Higgs all separated by over a second to each other here. At the moment, with George BL 3.4 seconds back. So at the moment, all those in the top 5, top 6, as long as they don't make mistakes, they will be sorted in their positions, as that was Dingo heading deep into turn 4 and costing himself some time there, dropping a little bit back from Peter Davidson in the McLaren in P7. And then we do see Matt Steele in P10 on the back of Lemon. Of course, these two were being Lemons down in towards the chase and went straight on at the braking zone. And they're still going to be battling once again. Let's see what happens this time between these two.
Well, the key thing to keep in mind is that, remember, it's still Bathurst, so don't be afraid. Like we see with Wrench, he's actually a few seconds gapped out from Davis, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, as long as he has got space and he's not feeling intimidated by any other cars around him. He's actually in a pretty good spot. He can afford to gain time back later. We see Dingo having a very rough exit out Forest's elbow, and that is going to open the door wide for Lemon to get by, potentially Steele, as he is really suffering on the speed.
Certainly is. A big differentiation here, I think, between the top speed of some of these cars, as there we can see Steele getting past Dingo, and Dingo looking to try and undercut again and get back into P9, and does so. Heading on the brakes, but goes deep. So does Steele, once again going deep into the braking zone of the chase. And well, not going too ideal here for Matt Steele.
Is there a pizza slice in the splitter?
Is it?
Hang on, just look at the back of Steele's car. The camera angles are not going to help us here, are they? Tell you what, let's get a
camera.
Oh, it is! It is!
That's brilliant!
The Colonel Cruiser has some stiff competition, let me tell you.
You know what we need next season? We need a special race where everybody has to have a fast food or restaurant-related car.
I'm proposing it to the team here and now alongside you. We need a round dub it food fight. Everyone has a car with a food themed livery. Job done. What entertainment would that be? I don't know. I probably I'm not really sure actually. That's a tough call because I want to do something different, but we've had KFC and Domino's, those are lockouts. I think we go for something. Well, just something simple. I'm gonna go Tesco.
Ah, I like that.
I'm gonna go for the Tesco, and I'm gonna go for a meal deal theme.
I've got two. One of them would just be a shop theme. Would be Aldi, classic Aldi. Gotta love a bit of Aldi. But if I'm gonna go for a specific food, I'd probably have to go for McDonald's.
Fair enough. I mean, in keeping with those already on the roster.
I'd make the rear wing like a long chip with some ketchup on it.
Yeah, fair enough. KFC is eternal too, right? But you got to have some kind of companion coming alongside. Either way, ooh, we can see that's not what I had in mind when I said that, but Davidson and Lemon are going to get very acquainted with each other coming out of the chase. Now, will Davidson be able to recover? Looks like he's going to be peeling off the side of the track, and actually is going to be rolling together with Lemon. I think he waited this time. We are going to see Brown, though, getting involved as well, as Dingo is making the choice to head into the pits.
That's early.
Yeah, well, the pit window is open at this point. Remember, 5 minutes either side.
Yeah, Jack Lemon went for a sudden there on the back of, I believe that would be David Brown, but had to back out. Wasn't going to make that one work. And Brown's had a decent start. P14 to P11, now on the back of Peter Davidson. Could even be a top 10 here for Brown if he carries on the way he's going. As we head over the hill in towards turn number 2. But not quite close enough just yet. Of course, here are the car selections. They've gone, but we have BMWs, McLarens, Ferraris, and then a Soul Bentley out there on track, that being of Tyrone, and then a Soul Mercedes of Glyn Burry, who's, yet again, not had the best race here this evening. And it's what we've seen before, isn't it, with Glyn? He tends to have, like, decent pace, and in the race he's fine, but he always makes a mistake at the start and costs himself such a possibility of a podium or a race win. As there, we did see some going very deep into the corner. I think that might have been... It might have been Stevie Mack there, because there was a couple of cars involved in that one. Yeah,
it's going to be... Well, I think it's going to be interesting next season as well to see if we do have people who switch off of cars, people who do... Ooh, something's gone wrong here for Fitton. Eesh, not looking good for him there. Looks like he's stuck.
Well, the good thing is at least he's not got cars behind him.
You had to say something, didn't you?
Oh, there's one there. Who's that car there? Is that
you had to say something.
Oh, he's lost it again.
Yeah, that was Craig Lua. He actually collected Lua through that.
Oh no. Oh dear me. I mean, I presume there'd be no one there because Fitton was in last, and realistically, the next car to pass him would be the leader, who's still like in the first sector. I'm
just more appreciative of the fact that as soon as you said, at least there's not any cars behind him, Lua comes into view. I just think that's cinema right there. That is just cinema.
Oh, Simpson.
Oh, something's gone wrong with Simpson. What's going on here?
Oh wait, is there a Jack Lemon's? Oh no.
Yeah, I think there's a timing bug. Apologies, folks. The standings and the timing board isn't going to be accurate for a minute. I think we have had a hiccup where Lemon has been given an additional lap. So,
yeah,
just trying to confirm what's going on. But yeah, not really sure what to make of that one.
We're back.
Here we are,
Hey,
back to the straight and narrow. And back on board with Davidson. P12 trying to chase down Cleland. Getting sharper.
He was up in the top 10, wasn't he?
Yeah, so remember, Davidson started in a P10 and Cleland started in P17. So he's gone from last to currently 11th. Luke is looking like he's in a good spot and actually making his way up. The other big winner, David Brown. P14 start. Now P9.
Indeed.
And Pausland
Great
too.
start from a couple of drivers here in this grid. I mean, who would you say so far has performed the best? I think I'm going to lean towards David Brown, considering in quali he didn't have that much pace, but in the race, up into P9 and actually started to gap Jack Lemon here, who was very quick, and is quick anyway.
Yeah, I'm seriously impressed with Brown as well. Well, that's Pausland, who has gone for a spin out Forrest's elbow, but Brown trying to negotiate some space out of it. Pausland going slow and boxing him in there. So now he's got some serious trouble on his hands. He's got Lemon breathing down his neck as they both go down the Conrad Straight. They're going to drag race each other and they're going to see who is able to get some room, as Pausland is going to be on his aft side and looks like a little bit of bumping and jumping as we go over and through. There's going to be Lemon going too deep once again and darts back onto the racing surface and going actually alongside Luke. Going to get overtaken into the final corner.
What about we've had here?
Things getting very spicy indeed, as Davidson is going to be boxed in between all of this. Lemon is right there. He's there for the taking. He's going to send it into the first corner, but looks like a little bit slow on his exit. Unless Lemon got a bit too deep there. No, he's actually slightly ahead and has got a much better run, but something's happened to Davis.
Oh my, what's happened here to Liam Davis? Dropped then to P4. That promotes Jack Simpson, Tyrone and Wrench up into the top three. Was on second place in qualifying. Was doing a very good job at the start of the race and now drops down to fourth place.
Yeah, so we're going to have a bit of a replay, play-by-play, see exactly what happened. A tale as old as time, I fear, as he crosses and goes over the curb. Just unsettles the car and just like that, little bit too hot, a little bit too sharp there. We actually do see a bit of a casualty in the form of Wrench as a result. So the reason he's a P3 to Tyrone right now is because he managed to get out the way faster and Wrench was reeling in the wake of the move.
Certainly was, as here we see Tyrone in P2 at the moment. Of course, has had a few up and down rounds recently. He's now, though, in a very good spot here. About 8 seconds back from Jack Simpson. Never mind, that's a bit of a glitch. And Stevie Mack has had a mistake down at the dipper and is unfortunately going to lose a lot more time in this race and has a bit of damage on his car. That's not going to help him going forward. And then looking a bit further ahead, I did see Bailey Vernon Hicks was within a second of Liam Davis. Is that Stevie Mack again making a mistake?
I think Mack is just struggling with his car right now. I think there's some major issues maybe with the steering, because it seems like he's having to fight the car just to keep it running and rolling. Back up to some decent speed now, but of course he is no doubt going to be faced with some major damage, and that's only going to compound on itself as he struggles to keep it under control. We're going to see, I think that is Bury going once again into the pits. He's had 2 stops now. This will be his second. Fitton's had 2 stops. Lua currently in and about to come out from his first. And then Dingo having a stop as well. So 4 drivers out of the 17 having satisfied the requirement. But now it's going to be a mad dash up for the next 15 minutes at least.
Yep, it certainly will be. Let's see what Luke Cleland can do in P12 on the back of Davidson as they head up to turn 2. Closing in quite quickly now, but not close enough just yet to make an overtake. But I think for a couple of laps, we'll certainly be looking to get ahead. As we do see Pelzund as well on the back of David Brown. That's for P8. Brown still making more positions as we switch to him. And he's round. Pelzund's round at turn 3 and 4. We got, I think, Cleland, Davidson all caught up in that one. And Jack Lemon makes his way through up into P9. And I think Pelzund's race might be over here. He's stuck at turn 4.
He's barely able to get it round, but he's running out of time. If he stays there any longer, then that's going to be Lua coming up to him very, very soon. Luckily, he's able to get it back round in good time. So he is going to be out of the running significantly. Over 15 seconds And then this trio of Lemon, Clell and Davidson, they've all spaced out from each other as well, because they got all caught up in that whole altercation, that whole little fight. As Lemon continues to be a question mark in terms of the standings and timing order. He seems to be the one guy who's managing to break it. And to you, I both raise my cap and wish you would stop.
Certainly, as here we see Vernon Higgs now has also lost time to David Wrench, was on the back of him, but now is 9 seconds back. So not sure what's happened there to mainly Vernon Higgs, as we do see Liam Davis in the pit, Stevie Mack as well in the pit lane. So they're going to come out a little bit further down here in this one. And then we can see, of course, David Wrench still on the back of Tyrone. This is for P2 and P3 as... Oh, glitch again. Lemon's back in the lead.
Yep, I'm running out of funny quips to say about this one. So, just to clarify, Simpson is the one in the lead and is leading off Tyrone by about 10 seconds. Lemon has mastered the ability to quantum jump a lap forward, but that's not going to pull the wool over us here at the commentary box anyway. Davis and Davidson, both in the pits, alongside Powsland and Stevie Mack, who has been in there for a little while, no doubt to treat the damage that he suffered earlier as a result of his collision. Lemon now appropriately back down into P8. Tyrone is actually a little bit closer than we initially thought. It looks like he's fluctuating in terms of the time gap, but it's going to equal out just under 10 seconds. So he's actually pulling a bit of time, at least if the last lap's anything to go by.
Yeah, certainly. As we do see, of course, the drivers near the back all in the pits as well, making their first pit stops of the race and getting their pit stop done and dusted to go all the way to the end of this one. Of course, the pit window is open until, I think, is it 5 minutes before the end? So they can all pit as long as they can. Yep, so they have 55 minutes to pit. Most of them pit around the halfway point, go half and half on fuel, and then go to the end. Some pit earlier, some choose to go a little bit later. As here we do see Jack Lemon up in P8 has had, yet again, an up and down race, but now sits comfortably inside that top 10. Still has to make a pit stop in this one, but either way, should be looking on for some decent points. And then, of course, at the front, Jack Simpson has checked out. That gap is now over 9 seconds between himself and Tyrone. And then we've got Wrench and Vernon Higgs, who are also starting to drop back. So nearly 20 seconds separating P1 to P4 here.
Yeah, quite a substantial gap, but not too surprising either. Once you get into a rhythm here at Bathurst, it's very much a case of just keeping to your line, keeping consistent, not concerning yourself with other drivers. And this is how we see so many of the lead cars managing to peel away and managing to effectively get a clean break from their competitors. Even when you consider back markers, Simpson is basically able to lap at will. And same goes for Tyrone, same goes for Wrench, who's not too far behind himself, although trying to catch back up. They all have their own pocket of the racetrack, and even if there's a few seconds to the next car, that's more than enough to work with, and you can just effectively treat it like a higher stakes quali.
Yeah, certainly. That's what it is at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, you gotta sometimes look at the race a bit differently to normal, and I think a race like this is completely different to what we've seen so far this season, as Wrench is into the barriers at turn 17, and that is not going to help in getting him closer to Tyrone, is it? That's for sure. So he's going to lose a bit of time there. Not ideal for David Wrench here in this one. He's just looking to bring that down once again and close back in. But if these mistakes that all these drivers are making, bar Jack Simpson, everybody here has made a mistake and ran wide or hit a barrier. Simpson just has been driving comfortably the whole time in this race and has 40 minutes to go with such an advantage in the lead. He can now afford to start being a little bit less, a little bit less aggressive. He can just drive and get to the end comfortably. As David Wrench is heading into the pits, as we do have blue flags somewhere, as that's going to be Matt Steele in the Domino's livery.
Steele is wounded. You can see his aero bodywork is damaged, and Lemon has closed about 2 seconds in the space of the entire S section. Here you can see the bonnet of that car and the front bumper both being severely damaged. So I think he hit the wall when he's now kind of limping the car through, as Lemon's trying to go drag racing side by side. I believe that is against Craig Fitton there, who's a lap down. You can see Lemon getting the move fairly easily along with the McLaren. And yeah, Steele not looking too hot. This is the other thing about Hanno. It's also got those street track style walls where the minute you step out of line, you don't have a gravel trap to save you. You don't have runoff. It is a hard wall that is going to meet your bumpers and say, hello, nice to meet you. I'm going to dissolve you into dust now.
Indeed, and I think it's the walls here are so harsh, and with the way the damage model is, if you hit the wall, you're just going to fly. Your car goes off the ground, and you end up spinning around and doing all these little somersaults, and you land, and then your car is pretty much done, and you have to then drive it to the pits and try and not crash again, because once you've got damage, it makes it even harder to drive, and once you've got a whole lap to get to the pits, it makes it rather difficult. As here we see Craig Lewis in P15 at the moment has had a race, hasn't he? He's not really done well. He's not done too poorly. He's just running down in P15, as we do see. Is that David Brown, I think, running into some sort of issue? He's dropping down to P6 here, and he's always had a spin, and he's, oh my goodness, and that nearly ended badly.
I think I just had a heart palpitation. that could have ended so horribly. Wrench luckily able to just take that slight left detour to divert. But Brown also had nowhere really to go. That is one of the worst places that you could spin. And I'm surprised that we didn't see sort of slowing up for local yellows. And see Brown once again going into the wall. He's certainly knackered this car. This is what you were saying earlier, wasn't it, Nathan? About how the damage just compounds on itself. And with the damage model here, you are certainly just going to ping off the walls and struggle to keep the car under wraps.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. You've got to be very careful, that's safe to say. And I mean, it's not just this track. Every track you hit the barrier, you fly, and he's done the same again. And once you get one piece of damage, it all starts to unravel, and you get more and more and more until the point where the car is barely drivable. And you can see Brown's car just not wanting to turn. Would rather not. And that's going to make it very difficult to get to the pit lane. He's got, of course, a couple of corners to go. Then he's got a long straight and then a chicane. So he should get to the pits rather safely here, I'd imagine now.
Yeah, well, even if it's a case of cutting the track slightly, going into the grass, you do what you have to do to just get the thing in. And unfortunately, right now, it does indeed look like that David Brown's car does not want to car. So we'll see if he's able to recover this race scenario into something a bit more meaningful for him, especially considering it is the last round. Stevie Mac off the side of the chase and rejoining just out of the penultimate corner is going to be actually pretty spotless, but I think it's just a classic case of taking it a bit too deep.
Indeed, I mean, the chase, it's a difficult corner to get right. You know, it's a horrible little chicane. You can run a bit too deep. You can go a bit, overboard on the exit, and it just costs you so much time. And luckily, you don't tend to get damage there because you're relatively driving quite slow, as we do see Peter Davidson in 13th, as Bailey Vernon Higgs has been in and out of the pit lane, and David Brown is in the pits at the moment. So we did make it to the pits in the end, and he's now going to fall quite far down the field as Jack Lemon. He's back up to third again.
Yeah, so Lemon, although, to his credit, I think this is genuine this time, because everyone else, bar Cleland, Lemon, Tyrone and Simpson, have pitted. And this is actually quite early. I'm surprised at how early a lot of these drivers are choosing to pit, considering that we tend to see many go for the sort of 35 to 30 minute window where it's quote-unquote most optimal. You don't really see overcuts. You don't really see them like you used to. Maybe a couple of seasons back and a couple of few iterations of BOP back, you would see the overcuts a bit more. I know in other series I've commentated for a few seasons back, it was a very powerful to, right at the end of the pit window, go for effectively a 5-minute splash and dash. That used to be a very powerful strategy. Now, not so much. You're seeing drivers who tend to try and go under or go optimal at the half-hour mark.
Yeah, and I think because of so many that have pitted early, they all end up starting following each other, and then they all end up pitting early. But the top four, the gaps they've got, they don't need to worry about pitting just yet, because they're going to be comfortably out ahead of Vernon Higgs and all those behind, so they can afford to do the normal strategy rather than try something a bit different where Vernon Higgs had a couple of cars behind. If they've pitted, he wants to try and cover them off, so he'll pit as well, instead of staying out and then being at risk from them later on in the race.
Yeah, it's just about finding that balance with every track, and In this case, I think, say that earlier pit strategy could serve them well. The only worry is when you get to the later stages of the race, and if you have a mistake, of course, you're still going to have to go into the pits to recover the car. But if you have already taken your stop, that's a massive amount of time that you're going to sink, compared to if you go later and only pit in when it is required. That could potentially save you a lot of time, especially if you're talking damage recovery.
Yeah, certainly. As Lemon, you can see there a bit onto that horrible curb.
Was that Davidson? That was Davidson.
It might have been, yeah. Ooh, been overtaken there by. Is that David Rentz lapping him there? I think.
Potentially so, but we have lost a driver.
Ooh, who's that? Is it Pelsland?
No, we've still got Pelsland.
Who would it have been?
Just checking the info, just checking the telemetry now.
I was going to say, is it Dingo? But no, Dingo's here. Well, somebody's left. Is it Berry? No, he's in P13.
No, so we lost Stevie Mack.
Ah, Stevie
Just got it
Mack.
confirmed on the telemetry now. Apologies for that little wait. Stevie Mack retired out, and yeah, unfortunately, a little bit unsurprising given that he's had so many issues over the course of his race tonight. But yeah, always a shame to see a driver go. We're actually 2 drivers down now, as we did lose Pelsland as well.
Pelsland has gone, but then again, it was a bit of a poor race for him, wasn't it? Not being too good for him. So I can't blame him, to be fair. I mean, if I'm down in P16 when normally I'm up in the top 10, you know, you might be a little bit miffed and you might think, right, that's me done here for the finale. Because we do have a few little battles brewing, Berry and Luat, and then I think there's a couple of cars looking to unlap themselves at the same time. Jack Simpson there you can see behind in the Lamborghini.
Trying to lap the back markers. Ooh, big sparks. Points for dramatics. But yeah, Fury is it's a tale that we've seen so many rounds. He has a technical issue, he drops to the back of the grid, he drives like a merc out of hell and proceeds to make his way towards a middling result, if not slightly towards the sharper end. Fury, I don't know what's going on with your VR headset, mate. Right now, it's one of the big things that's holding you back.
On a VR.
Fury's on a VR.
Oh,
that's part of why he had so many technical issues in prior rounds, and why he's gone off track, just gone straight. It's because his VR's stopped behaving.
I mean, I didn't realise that that VR even worked.
Don't do it, Brown. Okay, there you go. Oh, geez, yep, no, there were yellows. I feel like it may be the camera angle, but I don't feel like the drivers are slowing down for yellows enough.
No, I think they're just like, yellow flag, let's just go straight through and see what happens.
Oh, here comes Dingo.
Oh,
good.
He slowed down.
Good evasion,
I mean,
good evasion.
Came flying in, but then again, he did stamp on the brake pedal and just stop near enough. So at least he was aware when he saw a car turned around.
Yeah, I think that's the same, because with Brown, again, really bad place, but luckily he had the outside of the corner to almost nest in. It is a very treacherous track, and if you see those yellows, you heed those yellows around here, especially Sector 2. You have to be so careful.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we've seen, to be fair, I expected a lot more mistakes and accidents from cars spinning. Like, I expected to see one car spin and then 5 cars pile into them. But, to be fair, it's been fine. Don't crash into Dingo, anybody, because then that proves me wrong. Oh, there we go. No one crashed into Dingo. But yeah, I expected a lot more.
We've already had one cinema moment.
We have. We didn't need another one. I mean, I think it's just my unluckiness, because every time I commentate, I end up like saying something and the opposite happens. Every single time, whether it's ACC, F1, iRacing. I think me and you, Ben, over on F1 have been the victims of commentating curses quite a lot.
I think it's because where I commentate like 5-6 nights a week, I have time to burn that curse energy. You let it all build up, and that's why it all kicks off on the times that we are together. Is because you don't commentate as much as I do, like like day to day to day to day. Like
Yeah.
you come out for the stuff like this and some of the bigger
Yeah.
stuff. So I don't even know what I'm saying. What is this metaphor? Anyway, you curse stuff a lot sometimes, but it's really funny.
Yeah. And then, see, the thing is, it builds up, and then I have like 4 or 5 in one race, and then things go well, and then it happens again. I mean, dear me, I remember the worst
Building
one
up your luck.
one race, and it was turn 3 at Spain. I said, "Oh, this driver's doing brilliant. They're going to win the race." They binned it out of the pit lane on brand new tyres after being in the lead by like 2 seconds. That is one I remember.
Well, this is the part where we just try to make as vague, non-specific calls as possible while still doing our jobs. So,
Yep.
we curse as little as possible. So we don't want anyone to fall victim to the commentator's curse. And
I'm starting to think now, does the curse work in reverse? If I see someone doing good and I say, "Oh, they're going to do bad in the race," does that make them do well? I've never tested that one yet. And I'm not going to either, because I don't want to get myself hated by everyone by saying, "Oh, this person's bad," and then they actually do bad, and then I'm like, "Oh no."
so looking good here. Okay, apologies, my mic was playing up a little bit. But yeah, it looks like a couple of light flashes as George BL's trying to get past Dingo. And key thing here, we are now crossing the halfway mark of the race. And before we continue as well, just for sake of clarity for the broadcast, commentators curse, bit of an in-joke, saying we call out some action that's happening or a result that's going to happen, the opposite happens, just a bit of an in-joke, nothing serious. But we have crossed the halfway point of the race now, so this is either going to mean you settle into a position or you fight and start really pushing the boundaries there. We're going to see that Jack Simpson has made his way into the pits, meaning that Jack Lemon is the only car yet to do so. Cleland has also pitted in, and we'll see if Lemon decides to make that choice. Simpson is going to be in there for what looks to be a standard nominal time. He's making his way out now. Question is, what will the time gap to Tyrone be once he emerges out of the pit lane? Tyrone just coming through the final corner now, and it looks like it is going to be around that sort of 10-second window as we have seen it before. Just checking, seeing if it is. Yep, 9.7. So right on that 10-second mark.
See, and I'm convinced that Ballyvan and Higgs does something in the pits he shouldn't do, because as we do have a move in towards turn 2, that's BL and Dingo. Oh, they make contact! Oh, dear me. Both of them around, they continue on, and then I think that's Tyrone following through behind them as well as they exit out of turn 2. But as I was saying, I'm convinced that Vernon Higgs does something in the pits he shouldn't do, because every single time he pits, he loses so much time. He was about 10 seconds back from David Wrench. He's now 40 seconds back. I'm convinced he does something he shouldn't do, because I saw the same thing, I think it was in Hungary, and Zandvoort.
Good point.
But I don't know what it is, unless he's changing, like, maybe tyres or something and no one else does. I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, we'll have to wait and see on that one, I think. Lemon finally heading into the pits now. So, last one to do it. Just question is, where will he come out? Is he going to be in that sort of P3, 4 like we've seen him float about? Or is there going to be a bit more going on here?
We'll have to see, because he's glitched out again and he's now back in the lead. So, Lemon will, I'd say, drop round to probably where George BL is, maybe P6 here. I think that would be quite solid for Jack Lemon, considering it hasn't been his best race. He's been involved in a lot of incidents, a bit of crashing here and there. So I think a top 6 would be solid for Jack Lemon. As here we do see Glyn Barry, who of course has good pace, but just makes too many mistakes, and unfortunately he's going to finish outside of the top 10 in this race, the way things are going. But as we know, Ben, anything here can change rather quickly. So give it 10 laps, we might see him in the lead. You never know.
Well, he's got really solid pace. He's got the best of a 2:02.9, and his last lap was a 2:04.4. So he's consistent. He's got the pace under his belt, and we've known that not only from tonight, but from all the previous rounds where he's dropped down and then fought his way back up the pack. Now, Bathurst isn't necessarily the same arena as we have seen from rounds prior. It's not quite the same battleground. He's not going to be able to do the same work. And the fact that he's 26 seconds behind Davidson is going to be indicative of that. He's going to have to make the entire length of the Conrod Straight and then some to be able to make up that time. So the important thing here is he just remains consistent, he keeps things flowing through, and he doesn't compromise.
Yeah, certainly. As we do see, that's Craig Lewis there in P13, sorry. Was down in P15 earlier, but we've had 2 DNFs since, and now sits in the 13th spot, and one of 5 Ferraris here on the grid at the moment. Quite a few of those featuring here this championship. And the question is, do you think we'll see many people swap for next season, or do you think most of them will stay in the cars they're in? I feel like the likes of Tyrone and Berry, who are in the cars that nobody drives, will stay there because that's what they are comfortable with. But do you think maybe some of the Ferraris and the McLarens might change up a bit? Because it's just like the standard car that everybody seems to go to?
I think that we'll see things mostly consistent. I think the Ferrari is a very sort of smooth, and I think that was Lemon going off the side there. Yes, that was Lemon going completely straight into the chase and re-emerging on the other side of the chicane. Now, yeah, the Ferrari, it's a solid all-round car, barring getting unsettled underneath it.
Yeah.
And it's a really good car to drive. Same goes with the McLaren. I'd say it's a little bit towards the more challenging end of things, just because it sort of leans a bit more. I don't know about you, what you've experienced with the McLaren, but I find it tends to sort of lean a bit more into that sort of acceleration top end. You can't get as much lateral G in some of the turns. I don't know how much you've played around them in the McLaren, but it's still a solid platform all the same. I'm hoping to see a couple more Porsches, because
I agree.
like we said, the Porsche is a difficult car to drive. It does tend to balance itself on a knife edge, but if you dial it in, same with the Mercedes, you dial it in and you are off. You are a rocket. And in fact, you can actually dial it to be a bit more pliant. You can use that slip angle to your advantage and have a car that can be a lot more forgiving than the other platforms, at the cost of maybe a couple of tenths here and there. Maybe you don't get the maximum speed out of some of the corners. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a bit more variety. I'm expecting most of the field, especially towards the sharp end, will stay with their current car choices because, well, if it ain't broke. But maybe a bit more experimentation in the mid-pack.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll see a few more drivers change. Some of those near the back might think, you know what, we'll try something different. I think those who aren't in the McLaren now, at the back should try the McLaren because it's very planted. Of course, it can be a bit understeery, but you've got a solid base and it makes it very easy to drive. Really easy.
Predictable,
to drive. So I hope,
isn't it?
Yeah, predictable, very. So I hope a few drivers choose that. I think the Bentley as well is another car that is, it's not the quickest, but it's yet again planted like hell. It just turns. Well, it turns when you want it to, but it does tend to understeer a bit, so it's a difficult one. But if you want a solid planted car, Bentley, McLaren, I mean, if you set it up right, even the Mercedes, but that's so difficult to get set up right. But, Ben, SRC, I think they have setups for every car in this game, bar a couple. So,
Yeah,
guys, make sure you head over to SRC, simracingcentre.com. They also have ACC coaching as well. So if you're someone who wants to get a bit better, get some coaching, because they have some of the top-notch ACC drivers. I believe one of them used to be in Ferrari Esports a few years back.
Yeah, that's true. So, yep, definitely check them out if are in need of that. And not just ACC either. I know that they recently expanded into, I believe it's LMU, they expanded into very recently. And they've certainly made a big splash over there. So be sure to check them out if you want to up your game. F1, ACC, LMU, and more. There's plenty on offer there. Even so, moving forward now into the final 20 minutes of the session, let's take stock of our current positions. We have Simpson, who is comfortably leading Tyrone with almost 10 seconds, and then Wrench, who is much further away, with Vernon Higgs, his previous rival, almost an entire minute back from him, only just finishing lap 17, coming on to lap 18. So, big disparity in pace and gapping on the front end of the field, but the middle of the pack isn't doing much better. We do see Lua having a bit of a moment going into the wall there, luckily looking fully intact, but certainly having seen better days as Lemon chases on Jack Simpson.
Yeah.
But Lemon 47 seconds away from Liam Davis, 20 seconds from George BL Dingo in P8, who has gone up a few positions, might I say. Biggest winner of tonight is Cleland, 12th from 17th, closely followed by Dingo and Tyrone, who have made up 3. And then on the downward side of things, you do have Glenbury, of course, going almost straight on at the first lap and going to the back of the field. So has recovered fairly nicely from his initial lap blunder.
Yeah, certainly. Well, he's working his way up nicely. Of course, still nowhere near, where he should be, up in that top 5. But either way, at least he continued on. Many drivers would end up rage quitting on that one after being dropped down to the back of the field. So fair play to Glenberries. We do see David Brown back in the pits again after another mistake. More damage on David Brown's car. Was up in the top 10 earlier on, and I thought it would have been his day, but unfortunately it has not been. He's back in the pits again and will probably drop down to 15th place in this race, and he's overshot his pit box as well. That's going to cost him more time.
Yeah, a little bit of a rough run in for Brown. He was looking solid, but I say mistake after mistake. This is something that I wanted to talk to you about, Nathan, as I've got you. When you're in that race scenario, where does your mental go when you have a situation like Brown's, where you've had mistake after mistake, where you're having to peel into the pits for the second time and overshooting your pit box? What's your mental state like in those kind of situations? Because it's hardly good.
It changes around a lot. I mean, as Craig Fitton's off the track, there we go. Another example of not having a good race, unfortunately. It's difficult because I think it depends what situation you're in the race. If you're fighting for a championship and it happens, your mood is gone. You're done. You want to quit the game. You want to, have a night off. But if it's a race where you've got nothing to lose, you kind of end up just taking the mick out of yourself and just laughing about it in the end. And you just like, at one point the race is over and it happens again. You're like, oh, damn it. And you end up start laughing, thinking, hey, have I done that? So yeah, it depends a lot on what sort of race situation you're in and what you're fighting for. I presume David Brown would be in order at first, but now he's just going to get on with it, drive to the end. If another mistake happens, it happens. It's more to learn from.
Yeah, I guess that's a sort of healthy way to look at it. Because I know that when you get into a scenario when you're making mistakes, it's so hard to pull yourself out of sometimes a very negative place. You tend to overthink it, and that's when you start to get even more mistakes creeping in. You're overdriving the car, trying to compensate for something that 90% of the time isn't there.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to push forward more, and that's obviously, going to put you in more risk of making a mistake, but also your brain stops focusing on actual driving, and it focuses more on the fact you've made mistakes, so you're not at full focus, and that also adds into that risk of crashing more. So you get all these different factors which end up in you having a very high risk of crashing or being too slow. So it's a difficult one, but if you've got the right mindset, being at the back of the field, the race can change quickly, and in the end, you can end up being on a bit more of an upper hand. It just depends how your brain is at that moment.
Yeah, it can vary quite wildly. I know I have some days where I'm feeling brilliant, I'm feeling confident, I have a mistake, and it feels like my entire world has come crashing down.
Yeah,
and I want everything. I want to hide in a little shell and a little ball in the corner of the room. But other days, I'll be like that. But then when faced with the same mistake, a lot easier to pick up, go back again. It varies wildly.
Oh,
Wrench is going into the pits for a second time, curiously. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with him there. It does raise the question mark of Vernon Higgs, who is now up into P3.
Yep, indeed. Great job by Vernon Higgs. And I mean, he's one of those drivers, again, that just capitalises off mistakes. He's been quick in some races, and he's also been a little bit off the pace. Like he has today, his qualifying was around 2 seconds off, and he was up in running in P5. But mistakes for Wrench and Davis have now put him in a podium spot, and that helps him heavily heading into the last part of this race, because now he just needs to be consistent and get to the end.
Yeah, I think that in terms of sort of seriousness levels, I think that Simpson is the one who is taking this race at its purest face value. He has got, remember, potential for a 4th win here. While this may not be enough to get him past Vernon Higgs in the championship, this is proving grounds for him. This is him saying to the field, look, I can fight with the best of them. I have shown that thoroughly. and this is even more testament to that. So Vernon Higgs, I think, is sort of a take it or leave it right now, but he's still running in P3, so he's still got a lot riding on this one. But he's kind of caught up in a sort of gaggle of cars as he's being tailed by what looks like Bury and a couple of others. Clayland back into the pits, as it looks like Fitton is getting involved in this one as well, albeit at the back.
Luckily though, Vernon Higgs has got past them all and doesn't have to worry about crashing into them or being crashed into. I suppose when you're in a battle like this and you've got cars everywhere, you do start to get a bit worried when cars are closing in, when they're lapped. You start to think, you know, what's in their heads? What are they trying to achieve? As we do see a battle behind us, Glenbury let through a Ferrari, who's going to be on the back of Bailey Vernon Higgs here.
See a little bit of squirreliness on the rear axle, as that is going to be Liam Davis, who started in P2, now P4. Consistent, good running. I think he has shown himself to be a strong driver, a formidable one at that, but most importantly, he's still trying to sort of keep his own, and I think the big thing to look out for with Davis is his quali versus race trim. Now, some drivers gravitate really well to quali, some to the race, and some are able to balance it towards both. However, I think in Davis's case, he's certainly got a preference, but he's not dropped out the order completely like some may expect.
Has Wrench gone in again?
Yeah, Wrench has gone in. No, Wrench is still in initial. He's still in from his initial stop. Now, I wonder, sometimes this can be indicative of a connection issue. So I am going to investigate that. I'm going to try and find out a bit of info about what's gone on there.
But that's not ideal, no. Wrench is completely out of this race in terms of getting good points. It's of course promoted Vernon Higgs into a nice podium spot, but mistakes have been made and now Liam Davis is on the rear of Bailey Vernon Higgs. This is a battle for the podium as they head down the dipper in towards Forest's elbow, and this is going to head all the way down to the chase. The top, well, sorry, both of them fighting for a podium, fighting for that last step for the final round of the championship as we head our way back down towards the chase, and Liam Davis is chasing down Bailey Vernon Higgs. Of course, Vernon Higgs would love a podium, making it 9 this season. Davis, who I don't think has been on the podium yet, would love to get into that top 3, and the slipstream is being utilised here by Liam Davis. Can he get it onto the brakes and get ahead? He's going to go for a centre the inside, and it hits the back of Bailey Vernon Higgs. Both of them off the circuit, and that was a bit of miscommunication between the two of them into the braking zone.
That was mighty close, and unfortunately, just a little bit too much punch for Judy. Vernon Higgs has now been collected and is still going to be ahead of Liam Davis, but both of them are going to have some serious damage and some serious issues. As you can see, Vernon Higgs is actually going to yield for Davis, which either means that he's got too much damage to put up a good fight, or he just wants to get him out of his way so he can tail him.
I'm also thinking maybe did brake too early and then that's what caused the contact. And he thought, you know what, my bad, I'll let you through. And a weird one.
Either or.
That is for sure.
Yeah, so that's the case. That's very sportsmanlike behaviour. Now, so we do have Wrench still in the pits. I haven't got any confirmed info about what's going on. Okay, actually, I've just got something in right now. So, Wrench is actually retired from the race now. He did a ultra marathon for charity yesterday. So, I think similar to when you did the 24 hours mental health, it's just a case of the body can't take it. It can only take so much. So, I mean, first off, massive props for you to be doing that, mate. Say, ultra marathon and for charity, both two amazing things. So, fully understandable that you're bowing out of this one. And also, looking at Stevie Mack sharing some very kind words internally. Say his head was gone, the mental was gone. That's why he retired. But still, amazing season, amazing race, and they fully understand. Sometimes it is just sort of about hanging it up and saying, right, I've had fun, but this is me done now.
What's an ultra marathon? How long is that then?
I feel like I'd get in trouble if I just say a marathon but ultra. I feel like you would reach through the screen and smack me.
Yeah. But
But
he's in the pits as well. Is he also retired, possibly?
not too
I
sure.
think he has.
I think we'll get the confirm in a minute. But yeah, say an ultra marathon, I believe, is just a longer distance than a traditional marathon. So this is where you get like 50k, 80, 100. It depends. It depends. Ultra marathons can vary wildly.
Between 31 and 100 miles.
Ooh.
That is a long, long run.
Certainly a test of endurance, and I don't blame you for bowing out of this.
I mean, I wouldn't even turn up. I'd be like, right, I'm off to bed. I'm off for a bit of sleep. I mean, I did a 24-hour event where I just sat at my PC for 24 hours. That killed me off. Never mind running for 24, well, probably not 24 hours, but at least running for a majority of the day.
But that does mean we are technically down to 13 drivers. We will, of course, get a roundup at the end for everyone who is retired / no longer on course, as well as everyone who has finished. But we are into the final 10 minutes now, so that means about 4 minutes and 30 seconds left on the pit window before the pit officially closes. There will be no more stops unless it is for an emergency. If you literally cannot continue, that is the only circumstance where you'd be able to go into the pits, and even then, you would most likely get in a bit of trouble. Vernon Higgs re-emerges out of the pit lane much later, and actually behind Glynn. So Bury is going to be in P8 now, and continuing his saga of artificially setting himself a last to first challenge for half the season.
I mean, he dropped into 17th. Then we thought at that point his race is done, but he's now up in the top 8. Some decent points to be scored. But Bailey Vernon Higgs, 83 seconds back from Glyn Berry. I mean, if that's correct, that means it's roughly like what? I think around like a 160-second gap. So that's like what, 2 minutes?
Well, his pit stop was 150 seconds.
Oh.
Plus lead time.
So he's about nearly 200 seconds back. Oh my, that is not what we often see from Vernon Higgs.
A massive pit stop, really long, and that has jeopardised his position well and truly. So hopefully we will see him get some sort of fighting form back, but we are deep into the night here at Mount Panorama. You can see the headlights being the only guide. This is going to make a scary track even more treacherous, as you don't have those environmental cues anymore. You don't get to see those rolling hills. It's just what's in the cone of those lights, and that is it.
Yeah, it certainly is. You can just see how dark it's got here in Bathurst. It was pretty much light, wasn't it, when we headed into the race? It's now pitch black, and I mean, that is going to be scary for some drivers, because corners then just appear. You can't see them coming, they just are there. And you've got to adjust quickly, get ready to hit onto the brakes, or turn in early or turn in late. And that is what makes Bathurst so treacherous. The uncertainty of the corners coming at you is here. Is Matt Steele. He's in a battle for P6 here with Dingo 200. And I mean, if things go a little bit downhill for these two, Winberry could be on for a P6. It's that's Vernon Higgs in again.
He's back into the pits. Not sure what's going on with him there, but he's got to get this one together if he wants any hopes of finishing well. As he's still running close, running hot to the back of Dingo. Now he can use Dingo as a bit of a yardstick for the rest of the course. He's got to be careful though, as any kind of overtake you need to do with 100% confidence in where your car's going to land, especially with how dark it is. You cannot rely on the spatial awareness of your opponent as well as your own headlights sometimes. You need to intuitively know the course to have the confidence to go for some of these overtakes.
Yeah, certainly. You've got to have so much confidence. And if you have 50% confidence, then don't go for it, because the chances are you're going to hit the back of someone or go straight on, which is not what you want to do. But here we see Tyrone. Started P5, and I thought, oh, he's not on the pace today, he's going to be nowhere. But he's only 12 seconds back from Jack Simpson, and he's in P2. So I think this has been a well-driven race by the driver in the Bentley, and should be, without mistake, taking home a P2.
There will be soon to declare final run of show. Davidson has had a major issue, and he's actually returned to the pit lane. So we're going to get onto the helicopter and see exactly what happened, or as much as we can see what happened given the current lighting conditions. He makes his way through Sector 2, and I think we are going to see as he goes through the trees a little bit of lift-off oversteer, snap as well, and then straight out of, I think that's Solomon Park. Just takes a little bit too hot, and that is him done. Return to the pits, and with that, last few cars now making their way through as the pit window, we're about to close, is going to indicate the final phase.
Certainly, indeed. 5 minutes to go in this race, so about 2 or 3 laps maximum. And here we have a battle between Dingo and Steele. This is for P6 on the road. Of course, both of these two fan favourites. We've got Dingo, who's very loved in the chat, and then Matt Steele in the Domino's livery. He spins off the track. Oh dear me, and I've already cursed. And that gives Glyn Berry P7.
Yep, Bury in P7 now. Advantage gained. Steele just going too hot. I think we also saw a bit of lift off oversteer from him, but crucially now the pit window has just closed. So he's not going to be able to, nor would it be viable in truth, to go and get his car repaired. He's already well off of the back of Bury, and Bury you can see flashing his lights. I don't know why I said that, but curiously as well, Lua is almost an entire lap and then some down. So Steele is much better off just running to the end here.
Yeah, getting to the end quite comfortably. I mean, you can see there's heavy damage on the car, but 2 laps, it's going to be close whether he loses a lot of time or not. I think the good thing is about this circuit is there's like 1, 2, 3, like 4 straights. So once he gets into a straight line, he doesn't, he's not going to start losing 10 seconds, 15 seconds. He should be on decent pace in a straight line. It's just the corners where he loses so much time. As we do see Craig Lua heading his way through. Of course, this is the driver on the who will be catching up to Matt Steele quite shortly. And has a car behind him.
That's Brown.
To get past.
Yeah, Brown behind. And it looks like, I think that is George Biel up ahead of him in P5. Remember, he is a lap down here, so it kind of confuses things. But we have Vernon Higgs, Davidson, and Wrench all in the pits. Wrench, of course, being a confirmed retirement, but I'm not sure what the story is for Vernon Higgs and Davidson. I'm kind of concerned that Vernon Higgs is also going to retire. And if that is also the case for Davidson, that means we will only have 11 finishers out of 17 starters.
I mean, that's insane, isn't it? But then again, if out of all the tracks you had to say, right, which one's going to cause 7 DNFs, it would be Bathurst, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I think everybody knew it was going to be a challenge, which is why I'm glad it was a final race, because the chances were, at the start of the season, there was no championship fight heading into this, and I'm glad there isn't, because this would be so heartbreaking if someone lost the championship here, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be brutal. That would be nothing short of just heartache in its purest form. So I'm not surprised. I mean, of course, we'd love to see a championship fight all the way to the very edge of the season. Now, it did end up coming to pass that we saw none other than David Wrench take the championship with a round to go. Even if that was due to the fact Vernon Higgs was not racing on round 11, that still meant that he had done well enough and he had scored wins in over 50% of the entire season catalogue to warrant getting that championship around early. Yeah,
that is... It's been a good season, hasn't it, for him? Insane. I mean, every race I've been here, I think he's been, in the top 2 every time, comfortably. He's won dominantly. He's finished close in second places on many times. He's easily the best driver, I think, all round here. But there's drivers like Jack Simpson who, on their odd day, can jump in the car and be flying. And then even David Wrench can't keep up with them. That's what we've seen this season. The odd race, someone comes into this with confidence and he's quick. And Jack Simpson has just done such a brilliant job here this evening. Absolutely impeccable.
Well, I wouldn't even say on the odd day, because it's really just the first half of the season he struggled to find his feet, but then it came alive post round 5. I believe it was Misano that we saw that first glimpse of the Jack Simpson we now have in front of our screens. So really just like a sort of speeding Italian bullet right there. And I do believe that this is going to be the final lap. I think he is going to be just a few seconds shy of that final lap completion. So this is going to be where we wrap the season. And honestly, if we see Simpson bring his A game to the next season of this, if this is what comes to pass, then I have no doubt that we are going to have an absolutely electrifying championship. Imagine that. You have Wrench, you have Vernon Hicks, you have Simpson, you have Tyrone in there, you have Bury, who hopefully fixes his technical issues, and we have one of the most hotly contested championships that we could potentially ever see in terms of Armed Forces Esports. But that's for the future. This is now, and right now we have Jack Simpson rounding the final corner and about to take the checkered flag. Take a bow, mate. The final round is yours. Simpson has crossed the line and has crowned himself the winner of Mount Panorama, the finale of UK Armed Forces ACC Championship, closely followed by Tyrone a few seconds up the road in second place, and then Liam Davis, who is completing his 28th lap now, is going to be soon closing in. But what a season it has been, and you've said it already, but I want to sort of jump in on it. It has been an absolute honour. It's been an absolute privilege to be able to jump in every Monday, to broadcast these races, and to see all the different services come together for a championship, and just have the amount of fun that we've had. It's been an absolute blast here in the commentary box.
It has been. It's been brilliant. Of course, I've been here, I think, for 4 or 5 rounds this season, and we can see our cars having a bit of a celebration. Donuts here around Bathurst, but no, it's been a pleasure. To jump in the commentary box. Of course, you've had myself, Ben, many other commentators featuring in, and they've all had positive comments about this championship. It's been brilliant, and hopefully we'll be back again for a new season if there is one, and I'm hoping there is, because I think we're going to have such a good championship fight next time out, and just a couple more cars crossing the line. George BL in P5, another brilliant driver this season, and then we'll have Dingo, Berry and Lua as well shortly to cross the line.
Yeah, say a few more cars who still have yet to cross. That is going to be Lua in 8th place, Dingo coming through in 6th, and Glenn Bury is going to be in 7th. Again, massive recovery from his earlier issues, and repeating his own history, sort of forging his own path. But there you go, last couple of cars now making their way down as we have our final order all but consolidated. Yeah, we hope to be back. Of course, we'll see how it plays out, but I know that the F1 Championship is being discussed and future iterations of this one, so we'll see what the future holds. But this is where we're going to wrap things for tonight. Of course, we did say goodbye to a few other cars, but it isn't going to give us a chance as the server has reset before I was able to fully catch. But as commentators, we're now coming back to the main cam. As commentators here tonight, and from the rest of the team over at Driveline, we wanted to thank, of course, RAF Esports for giving us the opportunity to be able to broadcast this championship, for us to be able to bring the sort of rolling cast of commentators through. So see myself, you, Nathan, who jumped in, you had Zabby as well, you had Dan, who came in for one of the rounds, and just sort of bringing an bit of an all-star cast, but it has been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we will return for sort of future events and for whatever the future may hold. But any sort of passing words can only really be finished off by just saying thank you to the teams, to the services for putting this event together, and to you watching the chat at home and making these events worth it.
Indeed, yeah. It's been a pleasure to be here. Hopefully we'll be back next season, and my final words are, I hope we can still get our food fight event.
Yes, please. I would absolutely love. I will clear any schedule I have for that broadcast. You mark my words. That will be absolutely beautiful. But for now, this is where we do say goodbye. And as for the future, we'll hopefully see you again soon. But for now, this championship has rolled up. Of course, if you want to see more events coming in from RAF Esports, whether that is other streams, other content, be sure to keep it here, be sure to follow. And if you are interested in any other work that we do, say, you can see our social tags in the top of our cameras. Be sure to check out Nathan's at RichieF1, myself at Sapitron, and we will see you when we see you next. But at least for now, folks, this is good night.